Welcome to another special discussion. This is Dr. Tangella Shivaprasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaskar, Adab and hello. As the world goes through the worst pandemic, many precious lives are being lost every day. Many are falling sick and getting hospitalized. Same situation prevails world over. So the world is under lockdown situation. People are indoors. Literally, a curfew-like situation prevails. A health issue has more or less become a law and order issue. Is this because of lack of preparedness on part of not only just India, even the world apart? United Nations, under the aegis of United Nations, the disastrous organization was found in 1999. It was named as United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. It is headquartered at Geneva. It was founded on 22nd December 1999. The sole purpose is to ensure implementation of the international strategy for disaster reduction. Similarly, every country has these disaster management authorities enshrined in their capitals, and then in turn every state in their capital city, whether it is state or province, in the name of State Disaster Management Authority. So all they work in unison to see that they can prevent a disaster, or they take experiences from such disasters which were happening very frequently in different parts of the world, and the preparedness, because we don't know when a disaster would happen. So whether it is natural or otherwise, now WHO though is supposed to create that sort of knowledge and preparedness with wherewithals for member countries so that their member citizens are taken care of. Now we do not want to go into the etiquettes as to how and why WHO failed to inform the member countries, as it went on changing its own on record in its own website, that first it ignored Taiwan's human-to-human transmission complaint in December 2019, leading to such chaotic situation which is prevailing in the entire world. It blindly believed China, which at one stage it said it is not human to human, but later it stated it's human to human, and it went for lockdown on January 23rd. By that time, the damage was already done, as thousands and lakhs of Chinese or other travelers moved out of Wuhan in an infected state. This has inflicted a critical damage, endangering the precious lives, as we see people losing their lives. So, in tune with this United Nations for Disaster Risk Reduction, India also found the same on May 30th, 2005, with Prime Minister as the chairman and the vice chairman. I think it was Marri Shashidhar Reddy, and after that I think there was no vice chairman or that setup, which continued after 2014, I think. So we have our esteemed guest, Dr. Marri Shashidhar Reddy, who was the vice chairman and who strategized as to how National Disaster Management Authority should come to the rescue of the nation to keep their people or citizens of the country safe, and in doing so they have issued guidelines on every disorder, on every disaster, including epidemics, pandemics, and they have laid down certain guidelines also. So I'll just try to read some of those from the text available in the official website of NDMA, so that people will be aware. It was guidelines for preparation of action plan, prevention and management of heat wave. This was in October 2019. So I'll go down further when the guidelines of management of biological diseases. This was done in July 2008 itself. So everything is on record. Everything is on record. In spite of such guidelines being on record, and even Kerala has seen during MERS or SARS or Nipah virus, they were implementing all these guidelines. So India is not new to these types of biological or disasters. Then why is that we have allowed this pandemic to go to such an extent wherein people are being locked down? It's infringement of their rights, because now we say life is precious, so to safeguard your life, you are shut down. You have to be behind doors. You cannot come out. Now this is the word which is going around. Why did we fail to understand the guidelines which were already there? That means, is it lack of preparedness? Is it because the political will, all the politics which took center stage in inviting Trump, that too in the last week of February, as we have been time and again bringing it to the notice of all the viewers across India, during that period, Europe as well as US had more than 1.5 lakhs of cases. And when Trump could shut down all the international flights from China, and subsequently, that was the last week of January, and subsequently in the February first week also, they have closed down even international flights from Europe also. When such is the case, President Trump visits India, has already been put across to the public, inaugurated a stadium with lakhs of people, then he moves to UP and Delhi. And when someone questioned Dr. Tedros as to how these international bilateral meetings are being allowed or international flights are being allowed, he said this will be racist. So WHO, Dr. Tedros are also equally answerable as to why they did not sound alarm bells for disaster management authorities of each and every member country, and why India, in spite of having such a wonderful laid down guidelines, could not prepare itself, nor could not implement, nor it could not come to the rescue of India. In doing so, now we are crying that our economy is going to go down in spite of having such a wonderful NDMA setup. So today we are going to discuss as to what has happened, whether the guidelines were there in place for this type of disaster or not. We have our own guest, Dr. Marri Seshadhar Reddy, who was Vice Chairman for the first NDMA, which was founded on May 30th, 2005. Sir, welcome to the special discussion. I hope I have given everything in the brief.
Thank you. I think I'll set the record straight by saying that the NDMA was established in September 2005 when I was a founding member of the authority. We had General Vij, NC Vij, the former army chief, who was the first vice chairman. So in terms of experience, I think I had the longest experience in the disaster management authority, because after completing my tenure of 5 years, I was elevated as the vice chairman in 2010. I continued till the change of government took place in Delhi and Mr. Narendra Modi taking over as Prime Minister. I put in my papers and resigned. Now, you've mentioned about how the whole thing has evolved, disaster management, the institutional arrangement for disaster management at the national and the state levels. In India itself, after we've had several disasters, we had the super cyclone going back to 1999. India itself started working on it, and it was only in 2004, immediately after the Indian Ocean tsunami, that the government of India took serious note of the lack of an institutional arrangement at the national level and introduced the Disaster Management Act, Disaster Management Bill, which was enacted in 2005. And even before the bill was enacted, the Disaster Management Authority was in place by an executive order. That is the kind of importance that the previous UPA government placed on disaster management. Now, in Disaster Management Authority, we have come out with a large number of guidelines covering all possible disasters, except forest fires and oil spills in oceans and things like that. Now, the subject in the present context is of biological disasters, and it was in 2008 that the National Guidelines on Biological Disasters was released by NDMA. My colleague member, Lieutenant General J.R. Bharadwaj, he used to be the Director General of the Armed Forces Medical Services, and his specialization was in pathology, and he was responsible for, he took the lead in the process of preparing these guidelines. And subsequently, we had the H1N1 influenza, and that was spread to about 34 countries and led to the death of about 8,400 people. And it was declared a pandemic with just a spread of 34 countries, and 8,400 people died as a result at the end of it. Even an epidemic of that nature was declared a pandemic by the WHO.
Afflicting only 34 countries.
Just 34 countries.
Now 210 countries.
Now, I don't want to go back even to, after the H1N1, there were workshops held on, beyond pandemic, what needs to be done. And a lot of work has been done and put on paper. It is there on record. But unfortunately, like many institutions in the country, official government institutions, there is a lack of institutional memories. Things done in the past tend to get forgotten, and I think this is also something which remained, so to say, on the back burner. Fair enough. I mean, this is the way system has evolved. There is no continuity. There is no institutional memory. We've suffered greatly because of this, not only on this occasion, but on several occasions. But what is more intriguing is the recent happenings. The cases were first reported. The first case probably was in November. It got reported in December. And more importantly, on 23rd of January, Wuhan, which was the real epicenter for this present pandemic, it's in Wuhan where it all started. But there is a debate as to what was the origin. There are apprehensions about a leakage from, there are 2 biological warfare labs located in Wuhan. Whether it is just a coincidence or something more than that, let's not get into that discussion at this point of time. It was in Wuhan. Whether it was any leakage from there, as was suspected initially, or because of the transmission from bat to somebody who went to the live market, and
zoonotic transmission.
That is a different issue. Then what happened when it started spreading very vigorously in Wuhan? Wuhan, the Chinese government imposed a complete lockdown in Wuhan on the 23rd of January. Our institutional memory may be bad, fine, good enough. I mean it's sad, but that may be the case. But then there is no excuse for ignoring what was done in Wuhan when it imposed a complete lockdown. So when things started developing, I will call it, we had more and more
evolving,
cases when it was evolving into this present state, even in India. lockdown was imposed 2 months later in India.
Yeah, January 23rd to March 24th.
So 21-day lockdown from
March 24th.
March 24th to 14th of
And again, second lockdown till May 3rd again.
no, the first lockdown, let
Right,
us.
till March.
It was on 24th.
April 14.
So there were 2 months, more than 2 months after Wuhan
Lockdown.
implemented the complete lockdown. You can't look back into the past, fair enough. But in this present context, because every virus, and they called it a novel coronavirus. It's a new one. It's got its own characteristics, totally different from how viruses behaved in the past, from the last pandemic, the H1N1. So keep the past aside. What were we doing? What was the government of India doing after the lockdown in Wuhan? If you recall, in 2011, in March 2011, we had the triple disasters in Japan, the great northeastern earthquake. And because of that, it caused a tsunami. There were floods, there was this tsunami, and then there was this nuclear disaster. The Fukushima was very badly damaged. Immediately after that, that happened in March, and within a month or so, the then Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was also the chairman of NDMA, and by then I was already the vice chairman of the NDMA. And as vice chairman, it was my responsibility to carry out the day-to-day responsibilities on behalf of the Prime Minister, by virtue of his delegating the powers to me. So the Prime Minister felt that it is important to review India's preparedness for nuclear emergencies or a nuclear disaster. See, when something happens these days, in this age of information technology, anything that happens anywhere in the world is known all over the world within minutes.
Seconds now these days.
And instantly it is known.
Yeah.
And when this happened in Japan, Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Prime Minister, thought it necessary that we should test our own level of preparedness for a nuclear emergency in India. We had a meeting on the 1st of June 2011, and the main subject was India's preparedness to deal with such a situation. And then there are 6 states in the country where there were commissioned nuclear power plants at that point of time. The first one, the oldest one, was Tarapur, Kalpakkam in Tamil Nadu, and like that in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, then in UP. So altogether were 6 functioning nuclear power plants. And what we did was, I personally visited all these 6 states, visited all the nuclear power plants. We conducted a tabletop exercise followed by a mock drill. We had certain SOPs in place. So we were trying to conduct mock drills to find what is lacking and how we should improve our preparedness. So anything of a major nature somewhere in Japan, it may never occur in this part of the country, but still, this is what preparedness is all about. And India has been devastated by cyclones over the years, over the centuries. And after NDMA was in place, we started mock drills, preparedness activities, And this improved our preparedness to such an extent then that on 12th October 2013, we had the Philene cyclone, which according to experts in the world, all over the world, the prediction was that thousands of lives are going to be lost in this event. We were able to evacuate about 10 lakh people to safer places well in advance, and as a result of this extremely good preparedness actions, we were able to restrict the loss of life to mere 23. So this is what preparedness does. So whatever happens anywhere in the world, we need to learn a lesson from that. Unfortunately, politics apart, I mean, this is not.
No, it's not the part, because it is
every disaster,
guidelines of incident response system.
Every disaster
Yeah.
should be taken as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you look at if you look at a plane crash, what happens after that? There is people, the airlines, the company, the manufacturer spares no effort, not the airlines company, but the manufacturer, may it Boeing or the Airbus or anyone,
Yeah.
they spare no efforts to trace the black box, because that will, so that the real cause of the accident can be unveiled. So when that happened, unless it is found, and that is to know what went wrong so that in future such things can be prevented.
Yeah.
Now we could have learned from what happened in Wuhan. What a lockdown in the Indian context, of course we've had sporadic incidents from time to time when local areas were put under curfew, Section 144 was imposed, there was restriction in movements, but very localized kind of a thing. But then what is the implication of a lockdown should have been understood from Wuhan, what its implications are, what kind of conditions need to be set on movement of people. And if we look at what happened on November 8th, 2016, when we had the demonetization done. Without getting into the merits of demonetization, whether it was required or not, is not the. I want to just focus on the lack of preparedness. We were not prepared. We were not prepared with currency notes. We could not overnight change into a digital economy. There was this large unorganized sector of people. 80 to 90% of people in this country are in the unorganized sector. Right. In small trades, daily wage employees, contract labor, whatever you call them, they are unorganized. And we saw the plight of this unorganized sector in the aftermath of the demonetization, how people suffered, how people stood for hours together in queues just to get a small amount from their own bank accounts.
The exchange. Okay.
To exchange the old currency to new currency. So the lack of preparedness was so evident that it was a human catastrophe of such serious nature that it left a deep scar on the minds of the people. Whatever was the purpose, whether it is achieved or not, it's highly debatable. Let's not get into it. I only want to stress on the lack of preparedness on that occasion. Now, Wuhan was shut down. Your public transport goes. Your activities are banned.
The international flights still on?
No, not flights. I'm not talking about flights. I mean, how it affects the common man is, the small businesses, the daily wage earners, people in the unorganized sector. What will it mean if everything is shut down? Where will the chaiwala go, eke out a living? Where will the daily wage earners go make their living? What about small businesses? I mean, if everything is shut out, what about the agriculture sector? Where will those produce
farm
go?
business still continues.
So, and particularly at a time when Indian economy was under great stress, we were lagging behind Our GDP was coming down. We were not able to pick up. And under these circumstances, when the people were already distressed by this failing economy, we did not anticipate the kind of difficulties that different sections of the people will be facing in the event of a lockdown. Yes, lockdown is inevitable. Health is most important. But what about the life of the poorest of the poor in this country? And no thought was given to that. If we were in position, certainly we would have prepared for it. What does it imply? You need, when you go, the government talks about this surgical strike, talks about various other military operations. Does it happen just like that, overnight? On the spur of the moment? At the whims and fancies of an individual?
You have to strategize.
There is a lot of preparedness that goes into it. There is a lot of strategy. It needs to be strategized, and certainly a lot of preparedness goes into it. It cannot be done just like that.
And not only that, you have
guidelines
are there very specifically. That's what I just wanted to understand.
Those guidelines, fine. You don't look at. Institutional memory is bad. That's all we can say.
How can they?
But
NDMA is such an authority.
But
it is the core objective of NDMA to come to the rescue of the country.
That is why NDMA has been decimated. NDMA, as it was created, does not exist anymore. There is, in our time, NDMA had comprised of 9 members. One of them used to be the vice chairman. The members were given the status of a minister of state, and the vice chairman was given the minister of a cabinet, the rank of a cabinet minister. Now, there is no vice chairman. There is a serving IAS officer posted there as additional secretary. He is the member secretary, and the status of all the members is reduced to those of secretaries, and there are just 4 members working there.
So you mean to say you don't have a setup because
every
state is receiving fund on the name of National Disaster Management.
No, that's a different thing. That setup is there. States get disaster response funds.
That's what. But if you have an authority, then how are they getting without any strategy or a plan?
No, this is, everything is now overseen by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Well, let us not get into even that. NDMA has been decimated. It is ineffective. For a vast country like this, when there is climate change, will cause lot of disastrous events. They were overlooked all these things, and the reason why status of of a cabinet minister and ministers of state was given was to ensure that they have that state protocol. When they visit the states, they are received with that kind of thing. A vice chairman could go and interact with the chief minister. Today, when the members go, they have to talk to a municipal commissioner, or may not even to a principal secretary, may not even give them a time. This is how things are functioning. The other day, a couple of years back, I was in the municipal office for a meeting with the municipal commissioner. The previous engagement that the municipal commissioner had with one of the members who was visiting Hyderabad, and this is how things are functioning. So we'll leave that aside. So we failed to prepare, we failed to learn from experiences of other countries, and we saw the plight of the migrant laborers. You leave the elite, you leave the rich, you reach the middle class people. What is the percentage of the rich and the middle class people? We know how much of wealth is concentrated in such few numbers in this country.
Just 1%, if we can calculate.
So the 80-90% of the unorganized sector, the farmers, they were all left in the lurch. We had adequate preparedness measures in place. Even now, things are not settled. We are now in the second phase of lockdown. Even now, things are not settled. Now, a person like Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee, he said, in a situation like this, what we need to do, what is most crucial, is putting money in the hands of people. You look at what America is doing now, the kind of package they are offering. 2 trillion they are going up. In India, we should have been prepared to, with all kinds of steps to ensure that the poorest of the people are not left staring at in the dark. Will have a well, their minds going totally blank.
In this lockdown, they cannot even go out. They don't
they don't know what is the future. They don't know what will come next, and this is the and we are guilty of playing with their lives. If we have a child in our house and then he is disturbed with something, parents take so much of care, consult experts, and maybe seek psychological help. What is happening to all these people who are now suffering so much? And the greatest humiliation in life, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee said that the greatest humiliation in life is to go hungry. And how many people are going hungry? It is the pandemic may have been a naturally occurring disaster. Maybe because of some mismanagement, but it's a naturally occurring disaster. It is spreading person to person. But what we have created is a human disaster, man-made disaster in the suffering of all these people. And I think this is the success of the lockdown will depend on how well we take care of the poorest of the poor, because it is those sections, it's good for us, we wash our hands, we use sanitizers, we maintain social distance, we keep off.
Actually, it is physical distance, actually. The social distance phenomena, it has become very maniac now.
No.
It is a physical distance. Physically, you should maintain the distance.
No, that is how.
Socially, you unite.
No.
The minds can unite socially.
No. That is how terminology has been used.
Because now this is what is happening. With all these lockdowns, you are socially distancing people. As you rightly said, the poorest of the poor, they have to be provided with the minimum basic essential commodities so that they are out of hunger. And this, if they are still continued in this way, they will become malnutritious and they will become carriers at the end of the day.
No. Carriers is one thing. And if people are not...
They'll die of hunger.
Before they die, there'll be riots. We have seen what happened in Delhi. These shelters to house the migrant labor were set on fire because they were not getting their food. There's so many instances in different places where there was anger outpouring, and when if people go hungry, there'll be riots, and that is the most difficult thing to control. Undesirable thing
in this lockdown.
It will have serious implications for everybody's health. It's not only those people.
Right.
We've seen of instances where people were disturbed in Wuhan, whether it is true or not. We've seen some video clips where a person who was supposed to be infected with coronavirus went round touching everything with his hands, maybe with his spit on the walls, on the railings, on the lifts, everywhere. I mean, he was so disturbed that he said, why should he suffer in isolation? He went on doing this with the idea of there may be some people with some mental conditions. If
even when you were during your this thing, there is a separate chapter wherein you have envisaged guidelines for management of all these things, because you have very clearly put this in your this thing. Biological disasters, it was in 2008, and subsequently guidelines on psychosocial support and mental health services in disasters. It was in December 2009.
Yeah.
So everything is there.
In a disaster,
what to do? Everything is there here.
People, and then people are psychologically, mentally disturbed.
Because sudden lockdown, it, as you rightly said, it deprives them of their food, food not only for themselves, for the family.
And then we've had instances in the past, in Andhra Pradesh, when my father, Dr. Channareddy, was the chief minister in 1990, we had a big cyclone. About 1,000 people lost their lives.
Divisima we call, no?
No.
Is it
This
Divisima?
is Divisima
After
was
the-
1977.
Right.
So this was 1990.
Okay, second term when he became, because 78
second
also he
time,
became the
second
chief
time,
minister.
yes.
So, I was just
So this was
Right.
at that time, 6.5 lakh people were evacuated to safer places, and it was at that time, till then, the biggest evacuation in human history.
okay.
The Orissa evacuation of about 10 lakh people was in 2013, but we are talking of 23 years prior to that in 1990.
Right.
And they were put in temporary shelters, and they were so well looked after. Of course, social distancing was not an issue at that time, but still, overnight you put 6.5 lakh people in temporary
That time
shelters.
cholera and
You-
all
you
those
provide-
disorders, gastrointestinal
no,
disorders were also.
there are health issues, but then these people were so well looked after.
Right.
And even before NDMA, when there is good administration,
Yeah.
people have that foresight, people have that concern, people are sensitive to human suffering. This is what can be done, and this is what's done. And the testimony to the successful, operations at that time to keep such large numbers in such relief camps was seen that 2 months later, when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was then the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, 2 months later in July 1990, he visited the state on an extensive tour of all the cyclone-affected districts of the state. His original plan was for 3 days. But the response from the people who suffered, who were in relief camps, but very well looked after, was so heartening that he extended his stay by a day. Normally, when things go wrong, people cut short and
I
then
know.
leave. So this was on the other side. So we have such experience. We have such people in administration who are capable of these things. All we need to do is to have a plan in place and galvanize the administration. Now you look at what happened in Telangana. On 22nd, our chief minister always takes credit of being ahead. He probably, people say that he knows what is going to happen. He announces it a day in advance. Very good. Whatever it has been done, lockdown is welcome. And no lessons learned. Even a state. If you look at, recently there was a post being circulated in the WhatsApp. All the countries, all the states of India were indicated a population, taking their population into
As if
consideration.
they are representing a
They are different
country in Europe
different
or-
countries of Europe.
Right.
So today we are India,
Right.
but 1.3 billion people.
Right.
Our own state has 35 million people.
Right.
So we are one of we have population with bigger than several countries in the world.
I know.
Now we should also thought of it. We didn't plan anything, and then what was announced on the 22nd of March by the chief minister here, that each white card holder, each person will be given 12 kg rice per person, and each white card holder will get an amount of 1,500 rupees to take care of other immediate requirement, expenditure.
Right.
Now what has happened is the money, the rice got distributed. Of course, rations are distributed every month. So after first the rations started, they got distributed
In a due course, it's a normal.
But that there is still some. There were supposed to be 87.59 lakh white card holders. All of them did not get the rations. There were some people who were told that their ration cards are cancelled because for some time they did not, for few months they did not
Go for the ration.
take the rations, draw the rations.
Right.
So there's a category of those, and there are about 18 lakh people in the state who have applied for ration cards, which were either earlier cancelled or people who didn't have them at all, 18 lakh people,
18 lakh
their
families,
fate is
you
not
should say.
known. And then you have beyond that about 4.5 lakh people who are below the poverty line, who don't have rations. So what is going to happen to them?
And then 1500
What are they
also,
going to eat? And
are told
1500 rupees,
it's
and
partly
this
done.
1500 rupees, 22, 23 days after the announcement,
Yeah.
Mr. K.T. Ramarao tweets, the Chief Minister's son, he tweets that 74 plus lakh people will have their accounts, the amounts will be transferred the next day, as promised by the Chief Minister. Next day, the amount will be transferred to their accounts.
Yeah. This is
Out
23
of
days after.
13 lakh people were left. And subsequent, when we raised this issue, I mean, I posed a question to him on the Twitter. He posted it on the Twitter. I posed a question to him. I said, what about the other 13 plus lakhs? I mean, this indicates that your administration, it's a gross failure of your administration, insensitiveness of your government, that you subject people to lockdown. Yes, it's inevitable, we all agree people should cooperate. But unless poor people can have at least one meal a day, how are they going to, how are you going to control them? So 13 lakhs are still left out. Then the response from our government side was that there are technical difficulties, including non-linkage. How long will it take?
Okay.
Abhijit Banerjee says that let there be
Little bit distributed
universal
Give it to
public
everyone.
distribution. Every
Everyone.
poor person, card or no card. And our leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, has demanded, he suggested that people can be given temporary cards. So that,
Or
they
else,
will-
as you rightly said, universally.
and rations are distributed. Rations are distributed
It's also
per
covered.
person. Per person. It's not per family, per card. So rations are distributed per person. You have the Aadhaar card. You set something. I mean, if you may give some extra rice to some people, it is better than making them starve.
Starved, and they're being made to stand in the hot weather also again. They're unsure of whether they're going to get their due or not. Before we wind up, because you were a vice chairman of NDMA, even if you say it is decimated, now in this critical periods, don't you think it is the fundamental responsibility of NDMA, along with the Prime Minister at the helm, with its core members at the central level, interacting with SDMAs, state disaster management authorities, because every state is drawing funds from the same National Disaster Management Response Fund only. So, don't you think there is some lacuna because of the non-functioning of NDMA, leading to such chaotic scenes which are being witnessed?
In a NDMA is, according to the Act, the NDMA is assisted by a National Executive Committee which is headed by the Home Secretary.
Right.
So that National Executive Committee, ultimately that is the executive arm of the NDMA that is in existence.
Right.
The NEC, as it is called, headed by the
Home Secretary.
Home Secretary, and beyond that you have the Cabinet Secretary chairing other committees.
Right.
So that, as far as the execution part, the broad outline is there, but then there is no leadership.
That's what I'm asking.
in the NDMA, and leave alone the NDMA. 6 years now that Telangana state has been formed. Have you ever heard of the State Disaster Management Authority holding a meeting? So the reason why the NDMA was contemplated was there are always a minister. In Parliament, it was the Home Minister who would reply on issues related to disaster management.
National disaster.
Any disaster management issues,
Right.
the
Home
administrative
Minister.
ministry was the Home Minister, so he is answerable to the Parliament on any issue. If any questions are raised,
Right.
the Home Minister is the administrative, the Home Ministry is the administrative
Right.
ministry.
So at the state level, you mean to say there should be some minister who can...
But
Chief
the-
Minister
no,
is
no,
the-
but the reason why the Home Minister has a lot of other things to do.
Right.
It's not that, he's already there, but he's lot of other things. Official languages department, Hindi as official language, that is also a part of the Home Ministry.
Right.
The internal security, you have the Naxalites, you have so many issues
Right.
in the Home Ministry,
Right.
interstate affairs, so many issues.
Right.
So the focus on disaster management authority was established to shift the focus
Right.
from the erstwhile concept of focusing on just rescue and relief. See, when in the past, they used to call them relief commissioners in the
It's
states.
only after the incident or disaster happens.
No, so it is when disaster happens, you
Okay.
attend, you give them something, and then forget about it.
Now this is to how to
Disaster
prevent.
management is disaster management is prevention, preparedness, mitigation.
Right.
This is the pre-disaster phase.
Right.
And when disaster happens, you have the rescue and relief.
Right.
And after the disaster happens, you have the reconstruction
Right.
and rehabilitation and reconstruction. So this is the whole circle of disaster management.
Right.
Now, if there is just the Home Minister looking at things, it is only during rescue and relief.
Yeah.
All other activities get neglected.
Right.
It's simple as that. Even in the states, you have the revenue. When we were in the early phases of disaster management, I would go around.
Right.
And every state, I would suggest to the Chief Minister that you should have a dedicated vice chairman.
Right.
Because most of the states, Chief Minister is the chairman. He is busy with
So many things.
2,000 things.
Yeah, I know.
You have the Revenue Minister as the vice chairman. He is busy with so many other things. Land revenue, issues related to
I know. Some minister who
excise,
can really come to the rescue.
excise, endowments, and so many other issues are there. Land record, so many things are.
Right.
So when a disaster occurs, everybody is there. Entire government machinery is focusing on that.
Right.
But then our preparedness, our prevention, preparedness, mitigation,
Right.
these are suffering. And unless you have a dedicated institution with powers given to them,
Fixed responsibilities
with
and
powers given to them,
delegated powers.
with powers given to them.
Right.
So some states followed our advice, had a full-time dedicated vice chairman,
Right.
at least one vice chairman in the states, and in the center you need a vice chairman and members with the status.
Right.
Sometimes when they go around the states, they are received, given their due respect,
Yeah, until unless you have
and
the
then they'll be
protocol.
more effective.
Right. So you mean to say now, before we wind up, so what do you foresee from here on? India, in particular southern India, and in particular Telangana and Andhra Pradesh.
No, I mean how the pandemic behaves is something which is a big question, and what is as far as the overall picture in the country, we are not doing enough testing, and the optimism that was expressed by the Chief Minister that after 7th April there won't be any corona cases in Telangana was he made that statement very early.
Right.
And just a month before that, on 6th of March,
Right.
on the floor of the assembly,
So,
he spoke to a scientist
right.
who said that there is nothing to be done. All that needs to be done is to take a paracetamol to
Right.
control the coronavirus.
Right.
And after that, there is what all he needs to do
Right.
is, after summer, the 27 degrees, when the temperature goes to 27 degrees, everything will be taken care.
I know who is advising
And then,
the Chief
I mean,
Minister will not understand.
if that is the level of advice that the Chief Minister is taking, and if that is the level of advice on which this Chief Minister is going to take decisions,
Right.
it will be a sad day for the people of Telangana. There are states where they have, now we have two phases. One is the present pandemic phase,
Right.
how to deal with this situation.
Right.
You need to take advice and expertise of people who are very knowledgeable on this subject.
Right.
Number one.
Right.
Of course, the ICMR, they follow the WHO protocols. ICMR has its
Not
own
everything
things.
is
So
very
on the
confusing at
medical
the
side,
center
on the
also.
medical side, there is
Right.
one.
Right.
And post Corona, post
Right.
COVID-19, how do things recover?
Right.
What about the education? It's a big question that is in the minds of everyone.
Right.
Students up to 9th class are promoted, fine. What about the 10th class? What about the 12th class? What about people in degree,
Right.
professional courses? What is going to happen? How is it the whole thing going to be restructured?
Right.
Thought has to be given. This has to be done simultaneously, and you need to have
Right.
the chief minister should not think that he is like Zinda Tilismat.
Right.
You know, in Zinda Tilismat, in my childhood, I used to say, Har dard ki zawa, Zinda Tilismat. You have a stomach ache, Zinda Tilismat.
Right.
You have diarrhea, Zinda Tilismat. Headache,
Right.
Zinda Tilismat. Cold, for
Right.
everything, Zinda Tilismat.
Right.
The chief minister of the state
Right.
cannot be like Zinda Tilismat.
Right.
Let him consult experts.
Right.
Now, as far as we are concerned,
Right.
in the Telangana Pradesh Congress, we have formed a task force
Right.
which is headed by me,
Right.
and we are interacting within ourselves. There are about 20 members,
Right.
but within ourselves, with whatever expertise that we have,
Right.
we are also going to interact with experts. We are on a continuous basis interacting with experts
Right.
and trying to look at models elsewhere.
Right.
And what is being done, good practices in different states.
Right.
And with all this, we have started writing to the chief minister almost on a daily basis
Okay.
to give with suggestions. I mean, there's nothing political about it. We are with the government.
Right.
I mean, there's no difference of opinion
Okay.
among any political party.
That's good.
We are all with the
So we should
government.
come to the rescue of
We will
people now.
support all the activities of the government.
Right.
But the government should also take the advice
Right.
and suggestions from people who understand things.
Right.
And we are sending these suggestions to the chief minister in good earnest,
Right.
and hope they will try to see what is happening.
Right.
And there are different states following different practices.
Yes.
We have our own practice. On the medical side, we have seen how Kerala has been able to control.
Right.
At one time, it was the most difficult state from the medical point of view. Now today,
Right.
they are breathing easy. Yet, Kerala is today prepared for even further eventualities, because nothing
Because they
can
have
be
a
said.
good public healthcare system and they involve people.
And
People's
nothing
involvement
can be
is-
said. And nothing can be said
Right.
about how this virus behaves.
This is for today's discussion, as our esteemed guest rightly stated. Zinda Tilismat for Corona will not work. There should be preparedness at the national level and at the state level too. This lack of preparedness, in spite of having National Disaster Management Authority guidelines, every year they have been revised how to deal with epidemic and pandemic. What is surprising and shocking is how is that these guidelines have been left in lurch or they have been ignored. How is that Prime Minister could not
And even
appoint-
the lessons from Wuhan were not
Wuhan, yeah.
were not
Even
taken.
Wuhan, see, we are talking in Wuhan's aspect only, pandemic, Corona pandemic. How is the Prime Minister could not appoint a Vice Chairman and a total committee of National Disaster Management Authority? Likewise, how is that state like Telangana, and we not know Andhra Pradesh and other states, how many states do have State Disaster Management Authority working in unison with the National Disaster Management Authority? Why? Because if you
And
have a system in place,
particularly for the pre-disaster
Yeah, that's
phases,
what-
which are extremely important.
yeah, why? Because you need to have a unison and cohesive approach, because here the lives, precious lives of people, the citizens are at risk. And how is that they have no pre-planned strategy? When in spite of Wuhan lockdown, as rightly suggested by our esteemed guest, how is that we could not be into that mental preparedness? We were preparing for Trump's February last week visit, but not on Wuhan lockdown and the pandemic, which was already creating havoc in Europe and US as well. And even in India, January, the medical students who have returned to Kerala and the Italians, 17 Italians who were also affected with Corona, they were undergoing treatment in Kerala. How Kerala was masterminding and doing all that, in spite of international flights being in operation, how is that India, NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority under Prime Minister, and State Disaster Management Authority under Chief Ministers of all respective states were ignorant till March 22nd, when the Janata curfew was announced, and a day later the total lockdown, first lockdown was announced on March 25th. Is this lack of preparedness is costing us dearly, and people being confined to their homes in a lockdown situation, depriving them of their fundamental rights? Not only that, there are so many guidelines as to how do you treat the psychological aspects, whether it's mental and the social aspects also in those guidelines. Why were those not invoked or implemented? It is mind-boggling. It is really shocking to understand. We have everything on record, but nothing is being put to practice, making people to become scapegoats or easy targets for this coronavirus. Whether coronavirus going to affect the lives of Indian citizens, we do not know, but definitely this lack of preparedness, continued lockdowns, and it will be at the misery of the poorest of the poor and middle class segments and almost all those precious human lives who are in a lockdown situation, not knowing when it would open, even if the lockdown, if we are out of lockdown, how the life would continue, because we are not prepared enough, nor sufficient logical, legitimate information regarding corona is being given to the people or is there in the public domain. This is a sorry state of affairs. So at least now NDMA, in consonance with SDMAs, will start acting and make people to understand what is happening and see to that people are part and parcel of any decision making. Otherwise, these lockdowns will be at the cost of literal suffering of the people. With another topic, I will see you very shortly. Take care, wash your hands frequently, don't shake hands, say namaste, adab or hello. Maintain a physical distance so that your social harmony is always impact. Physical distance of 3 to 5 feet is more important. Stay at home, follow the guidelines of central and state governments, enjoy your lives at home. See you soon with another topic with another guest.